Everyone, my name is Sophie Maes. I'm a Belgian employment lawyer from Kleijs and Engels, and I'm also the head of the expert groups. And I'm very happy to be here today with our chair of our immigration and global mobility group, Melania Soncin from Taffaletto, our Italian Ius Laboris member firm. And I would like to have a talk with you about some recent topics that we see, that we get from questions out of our clients. And one of the things that I have been wondering is, Melania, as you all know, employees get more and more mobile. They want to work from everywhere. It's something which is very important also in terms of think about the war for talent. And companies, I feel, want to accommodate this. But the question is it possible? Can everybody just decide, well, I want to work from everywhere. You just have to accept it. My partner is going overseas. What are your views about that?
So thank you, Sophie, first of all, for asking me to participate. Yes, this is indeed a very hot topic because people want to move. They want to be able to work with their computer from wherever. They don't like restrictions. They have beach houses and they want to stay there for longer periods. And they ask flexibility from their employers. The problem is that employers have a bit of a headache right now because there are a number of things they need to consider when an employee works from abroad. To give you the headlines, there is immigration. So you may not be allowed to be working from the beach house in Italy if you're from the US. Because you're working, even if you're only at your PC, you're still working, and you need a work permit if you're working in a country and you're not an Italian citizen. You may be causing costs to your employer. You may be moving social security legislation. So because your stay is prolonged, it may happen that you move, which is the applicable social security legislation, and your employer, who was used to, 50% rate of social security, then finds itself having to pay 30 immediately or after a certain amount of time. You may be moving taxes, withholding obligations. You may be entailing a risk of permanent establishment for your employer because you're doing business in a country where they do not have a presence, but you are maybe the best salesman and you're at the seaside in Italy and you start signing contracts with Italians there and you're developing the business, and this may be a problem. And of course, employment rights. What happens if you're working in a country, you're an Indian and you're working in Italy, and Italians, very protective towards their employees, and maybe the Indian company is not does not provide for the same rules generally. So this is why, just to close your eyes and allow employees to do whatever they want is not really a possibility for employers. It has many risks and which need to be considered.
Okay, so I'm now trying to be a company. I'm a multinational. I have operations everywhere. So I want to regulate things, and if possible, the same policy that I can apply everywhere. Is that possible? Or what are the points of attention if I want to make a global mobility policy?
Yeah, we've seen this a lot after COVID, big companies trying to really set very easy rules, user-friendly rules, we can say, kind of, okay, everybody can work abroad for 30 days and I will not, and this is allowed wherever you want to go. And it's also something very easy to promote within the company. So it is very well accepted. But then again, employers started realizing that not everybody can be treated in the same way, not because this is a discrimination, but because the personal conditions of the employees are different. Going back to the example of immigration, maybe a French person can go and work in Spain for a limited period. There's no problem from an immigration perspective. But again, if it is a Chinese employee who maybe has a work permit to work in Belgium, but they do not have a permit to work in the Netherlands. So this is not, of course, discriminating. It is taking into consideration the different cases you have, and these have to be addressed in your policy. And there are also kind of several objective criteria that need to be considered. the countries involved. If I allow you to move in every European country, maybe we have common set of rules, regulations that make it very simple to understand when you are moving social security legislation, that maybe 30 days will not trigger a change. So this is permissible, it is maybe allowed. But instead, if you move to a country, for example, from Italy to China, where you do not have a social security convention in place, a treaty in place, then possibly from day one, the company is liable for payment of social security contributions, both in Italy and in China. So this is something which is based on an objective reason, which is the countries involved. So I think that this does not mean we cannot work on this. I think companies can work on structuring policies, which, however, have to be a bit more sophisticated. I have to take into account different kinds of scenarios and address them in order to give everybody freedom, but considering also the implications in the different conditions.
Okay, yes, that is very interesting. So if I can summarize, we can make a global policy, but the application will still be individual in each case, that we need to look what are the points of attention, etc., etc. Okay, but that was very interesting, Milana. So thank you very much for being here, for sharing your thoughts. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophie.